Okay, Christy, now you're on the line right now, correct?
Hello, yes, hi. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. I'm well. My makeup is perfect. My hair is gorgeous. My ball gown, I've got it on. I dressed up for this. None of what I said is true. You understand.
So you got all fancied up for your interview with me, right?
Yes.
Well, that's awesome.
I just want,
I'm really glad that you're calling in and being a guest on the show. I look forward to, discussing everything that you've been up to and just everything that you want to share. And so I'm just grateful that you're here.
I'm glad to be here. I was very pleased to be asked, and by golly, the one thing I do want to know. I have one question first. I live in Buffalo.
Yes.
What is this heat thing? I don't get heat. I don't understand heat. I'm 87 here today.
Oh my God! So how are you coping with all this? The heat, the lockdown. I mean, how's it going for you?
I basically laid in bed for the first several months, and then I decided, okay, I actually should get productive because I work from home anyway, so I'm just not being able to go to the store is the big thing.
Well, you sound like me. You sound like me. I was doing that too. I was sleeping more and not really thinking to myself, well, there's nothing to do, so I might as well just sleep for a little while, a little extra. But then the only time I get out is like to go to the grocery store. I mean, that's how it used to be. But now I've been trying to get out and going to the park and walking and sitting out on my fire escape, which is like a little porch, So I'm trying to enjoy that. But I did want to ask you now, you did say that, you've been out as a trans woman since 2018. So can you tell us a little bit more about your journey that, led up to your coming out?
Oh, it's a bit long, but I'll shorten it up best I can.
No, you don't have to shorten it up. Take your time.
Well, I've basically known I was a girl since I was young, like 9 or so was the earliest I can figure it out. Probably earlier, but that's that was in the 70s where that kind of thing wasn't talked about. And I saw Renee Richards on TV, and I'm like, she's one of me, that kind of thing.
Right.
The tennis player.
And so Renee Richards, I believe.
Renee Richards. Did I say it wrong? I said it wrong.
Oh, no, you didn't. You didn't. I just remember Renee Richards, the tennis player. Yes.
Oh yeah. She's I was out for a little while in high school, and then basically AIDS hit, and I jumped right back in, and have spent many years trying to come back out, and finally hit a wall and said, nope, not doing this anymore. And I'm in my 50s going, all right, time to transition.
Right.
That's a very short version.
Oh, okay. Well, you're welcome to share, anything else about that, journey if you wish. I know my listeners would really love to hear your story because they can probably, a lot of them, might know someone that's going through that themselves, or they could be going through it. You just don't know. So, but let me just ask you, how is your experience now? Now that you have been out, how is that for you?
I am much happier than I've ever been. I still have the normal day-to-day, garbage that everybody else does, but it's nice. It's finally feeling like myself is was one of the most pleasant things I got out of this, and it was it's always scary to come out as any part of the LGBT. I stayed out bi for a long time, but
right.
It's I can't believe the difference in my head. Just my head is so much more aligned with who I am. It's one of the reasons for I wanted to come out again. I tried to come out again in the early 90s, but by then I was already making a name as a local musician, and I had some of my writing out, and I was like, well, nobody will accept me, and so I better not. And just all the excuses you make to yourself to not change, to make the hard change. But the hard change turned out to be the simple change.
Well, that's wonderful.
That's.
Well, you know, with me, I just came out on Facebook all of a sudden in my 50s.
That's what I did.
You did that too. Okay.
Very short line.
I think everyone kind of knew, but I said, you know what? I'm just going to come out and just say who I am, and you know, it's really funny is nothing changed. Everyone just accepted me, and you know, nothing changed. And I actually asked my sister, my oldest sister. I said to her, well, who do you think will be the most, surprised that I'm gay? And she said the person that would be the most surprised will be you, that nobody will be surprised.
And that was my experience as well.
Okay.
It was astonishing how many people were, well, it's about damn time.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful when you get that support, you know, and it's encouraging, and it's wonderful.
Oh,
so
sure.
I know that, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, there were one or two people. I think there were a couple of people that surprised me by being very unsupportive, but those are people that were kind of like, no, I'm all right without you. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was lucky. I never had anybody, anything, no negative kind of response back. I mean, there were some people that when I had a radio show about 7 years ago when I was talking about coming out, and there were a couple of people that didn't really support me, but that was about it, you know. But I like having a conversation with somebody that doesn't support me, because that way hopefully I can educate them a little bit, and once they know somebody that is gay or LGBTQ, that, you know, can open up maybe more, not prejudice but more acceptance, I think.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to do sometimes is be calm about it. Not in everyday life. I mean, when somebody's coming after you, and to be just calm about it, and here, let me tell you a little bit about. Yeah. And having the one thing that sometimes gets people is, and the worst, and the thing is, you have people coming at you, which amazingly enough, if you think people get angry with you for being anti, then imagine what it's like to go through this every day, and once in a while people are just gonna get angry and at you because it's a lot.
Right. You mean they get angry at you? Yeah.
Yeah. And being very out online is the part that is sometimes rough. But I also have a built-in support system that I inherited. There's, I would assume, about a third of my Facebook friends and more than half my Twitter people are trans. So.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's great to have allies and other people that can be there for you that's going through the same thing, So,
yeah.
Well, I know that, you do a lot of advocating for trans people.
Yeah.
And I know that you started a variety of YouTube channels. So you have more than one channel, correct? Is that right?
Yes, I'm on a thing called The Fluid Voice, which is a group of us. Two trans people and a cis person who keeps us from getting too heated up, and various guests from the community and allies and such. That's once a week. I have my own show. I interview people. I'm going to interview you at some point. So.
Well, I've really enjoyed your interviews. They're just awesome. You do such a great job. And what is now your?
Thank you.
And so that's The Fluid Voice. You said, is that correct?
Yes, The Fluid Voice, or if you look it up, it's Fluid Voice. It's but the only appears in some places, and I'm not sure how that works. I don't run that part of it.
Sure. Now you have other channels too. Is it more than you said? And then you have one where you interview people. Now, what's that channel called?
That's Christy Abbey. That's my main channel.
Oh, okay. So Christy Abbey, and everyone, that's spelled Abbey. So Christy Abbey.
Right.
Okay, and that's the one, that you've done a lot of interviews. I mean, that's just been amazing. So tell me some of the things that you're advocating for trans people.
It's mostly I started off wanting to be all firebrand and stuff, and that doesn't really work with my personality. So eventually it just became, all right, I'd like people to understand our stories. I want people to understand who we are and that, we're the person in the next cubicle,
Right.
Pardon me, I forgot to turn my sound off. It's for really all LGBTQ people could be the person in the next cubicle. And maybe somebody is scared of saying it. I have a friend who is deep stealth since the early 90s, and that, believe it or not, had a lot to do with my wish to get the stories out and get the normalize it. And I knew I had a word because
right.
she doesn't feel like she can be out ever.
Right.
And I mean, she transitioned in the early 2000s, but so I realized I had nothing to lose, that I wasn't willing to give up. Right.
Well, that makes sense. It totally makes sense, yeah. Well, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, that's against trans people, especially trans women, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as trans people, there's the ban in the military, which just is crazy, you know. And I hope there's a lot of people advocating to change that, because I know recently someone got a waiver or something that allowed them to stay, but that just doesn't make any sense, you know. I mean, everyone should have a waiver to stay. I mean,
yeah, how the waivers work is very, very complicated. And I even one of the early interviews I did was someone who was leaving the military, trans woman who was leaving the military, because I wanted to hit that topic and make it have a face, you know.
Right. Absolutely. And how did that go? I mean, how did that go?
It went well. Not a lot of people saw it, which is unfortunate. And yeah, I was early and I didn't really know what I was doing yet. So.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that.
But
then, you know,
she was great, and losing an Arabic translator is one of those things that you don't need to be doing right about now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So.
Well, I know too. You know, there's just a lot of violence lately, and against trans women. I mean, you hear it in the news all the time, and a lot of times, mainly, you know, it's of women of color. And is that something that you've discussed too on your show or on your channel?
We have on Fluid Voice some. Not as much on my channel, and that is my own failing. I realized I was just interviewing trans women that, same class, same that I could closer relate to. I mean, I'm Hispanic, but nobody knows that unless I tell them.
Well, yeah.
So it's not like I'm in much less danger than a lot of people, but we've been working on getting more trans men and more people of color on because their stories are important too.
Sure.
I will be having a woman of color who lives in the deep south, which scares the heck out of me just trying to conceive of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Well, now, is there anything else? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, you and I both live in places where it's relatively safe to be LGBTQ.
It's true.
And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, San Francisco, you know.
Yeah, and Buffalo's like a trans mecca.
See, I didn't know that. I did not know that. So that's a good thing to know. Because, you know, I've been looking to move out of San Francisco, actually, and possibly finding a place on the East Coast. So maybe that's a place I should check out.
Yeah, and if you go downtown, there are 6 LGBTQ bars within 3-block radius.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, that's pretty good then. Okay, sounds pretty. Yeah, great. Hey, I wanted to also. Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss about trans people before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, just generally, I mean, the biggest thing that people go on about is trans people being in or trans women especially being in women-only spaces, which, well, you know, they just flap around and no, that's not how that happens. We are more scared of you than you are of us, you know. I would tell anybody who's concerned about that topic, we are going to be hiding as much as possible.
Yeah.
And that includes me, and I'm way out and open, so.
Right. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. Well, you know, I did want to say, I know that that you are also a writer, and I was just wondering, do you write about trans people, or what do you write about?
I mostly write. I mostly have been sticking to what I used to write, which is comedy, but just comedy in the fantasy field. But the next novel that's coming out, provided I finish it soon enough, it's
yeah, I understand that. I'm a writer too, so I understand.
Yeah. But yeah, the next short story I have coming out for a trans charity, and the next novel I have is something I wrote years and years ago that I'm updating, and it was I didn't think about it at the time, but it was very much a trans allegory, and it's a dark fantasy. So yeah, it's so I am writing more about the issue. My songs, I write about it a lot, but my
yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that too. I know you're a musician, and I've listened to a lot of your songs, you know, that you've shared with people, and but can you tell us more about that too? I mean, as a writer, as a musician, I mean, what's going on there?
Yeah, that's the thing. It was a funny. That's why I'm saying I had public careers where I was afraid to come out for fear of losing them. But I haven't really, and I have, you know, there's a lot more trans musicians in Buffalo than I ever thought possible. Right. So I'm amongst that group of people now. I mean, 3 of the 4 of my band is trans. So.
Oh, okay. Is that the Wonder Turret? Is that what you're known for? You said.
Oh, the Wonderland Tarot. That's just a piece of art that me and my first wife did years ago. And
okay.
I wrote the book. I wrote the book for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was a group or if that was a written work. Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah, that keeps me in bread.
Well, very good. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your writing? I mean, how can we get copies? You said that's your next novel. So is your work like on, is it on Amazon, or is there anywhere that someone can find your work and purchase it?
The last novel is not in print anymore, except for you can get it as Kindle or Nook editions. It's on both Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and a whole bunch of other places. And when I say I do comedy, this is the name of the last novel, which is The Case of the Outcast Oracle, a Norg Dixon sort of barbarian mystery.
Oh, wow. Is that the title?
Yes.
Well, That sounds very, very long and interesting, though. I mean, I'd love to check it out. I like comedy. I actually wrote a comedy skit one time, or a routine one time, but I'm too scared to get up there and perform it. Now, do you ever perform your comedy at all, or do you just write about it?
No, I don't. Which, until you'd asked me that, I'd never thought of it one way or the other. But no, I don't. I do my. It's like two separate things. Is where my music is serious and my writing, my fiction is humorous. The dark novel actually has 7 songs that go with it. So I suppose that's how I worked that out in my head. It's like a separate thing, and I can't write comedy music. I've tried. It's a strange, just right brain, left brain, which is not a thing, but let's go with it anyway.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I mean, I try to do different kinds of writing, and definitely, I mean, I did write one book that's gay themed. It's called Imbalance, and it's on Amazon right now. But it's hard. I mean, to really sit down and write a novel, and I'm glad that you picked it back up after all those years. I mean, that's amazing. You can look at it with fresh eyes, and do you feel like it's going to get completed anytime soon, or your first draft, or?
It's on. Yeah, I should have the finalized manuscript done within about 2 or 3 weeks. And it's what I'm working. It's what I've been working on. It's why nobody's seen me on Facebook much lately.
Well, that's great. You're being very productive. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm very excited about it. Well, great. Now, do you have a title for it then, I'm assuming, or?
Yes. It's just called Anna's Underground. Anna, like the name. And had I come out in the early 90s, that would have been my name.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I've been writing one book for, I think now it's 20 years I've been writing this one book. I keep putting it on the back burner, but yeah, I understand how you can be writing something for a long time and then finally, you're ready to go with it. So I wish you a lot of luck with that, and a lot of success. And
thank you. I mean, thank you, and I wish you success with yours. I mean, by golly, it's. I say by golly now. That is one thing that has changed since I transitioned.
I like that, by golly.
It curses much. Yeah, I mean, it. Thank you for having me on. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, is there anything else that you want to share with us that you're involved in that maybe we'd love to hear about? I know, like I said, we talked about your channels on YouTube and being a musician and a writer, and of course, coming out as a trans woman in 2018. But did I miss anything about that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, one of just on this is a very side issue, but well, it's not really, but for anybody who reads anything that I write online, I'm one of the few trans people who doesn't care that other people know my old name because it's easy enough to find. but in general, don't ask people that. That's about it.
Oh, I understand. And you shared your first name in your transition. I remember reading about that or listening to you talking about it. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much, for allowing me to interview you. And, it's been a pleasure, and I hope that you'll come back again when you can. Now, I was just wondering, and, I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything because you weren't prepared for this, but is there a song that you want to share with us tonight that you've written or would that be something you'd want to share the next time you come on?
I can send you one. I just not prepped to do anything like that right this second.
That's wonderful. That's okay.
Which is unfortunate. I usually keep my guitar right behind me and tuned, which I'm not right now, unfortunately.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But the thing is that what you can do is send me a video of a song, and then I'll share it on my Facebook page, and that would be great. And then I've already written down your channels that I also want to promote when we get off the show, to make sure if anyone didn't have a pen or paper to write it down, they'll be able to write it down from my post. So I think that would work out really good. And but yeah, so thank you so much, Christy, and I wish you the best of luck with your novel and just anything that you're working on. And thank you for advocating, for trans people. I mean, I think they need as much advocacy as they can get. So, but please come back again, okay? And hang on the line because. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, I mean, you doing this show is a good thing for advocacy as well. And I hope I'm doing something useful. If I'm, I'd like to at least think I am.
No, I believe you are very much so.